Okay, welcome to the man cave. Today, we're still getting ready for Baja, Deacon and I. We're going to be riding the 690 down Baja, so we're starting to get all of our equipment together. So what I got on here is a big array of tools that I think I'm going to be taking. Now, one thing that I found out when I was working, every time I try to add things to the 690, I would use the tools that came with it. So of all these tools that normally come with a 690, you got these little funky things where the little sockets never stay on. You got this tool for the rear axle, which just bent like crazy, you know, when you tried to step on it. There's actually, I've got 3 bikes, so there's a hodgepodge tools in here. You've got this one where the castings are very sharp, and although it's a multi-tool, I think that's fine if you're doing a day trip where there's always a way to get back to the truck. This is kind of handy having the bits and stuff like that, but I always had trouble finding all the bits, all the torques that would needed, and you got to choose between them. And you got these wrenches, and then these little bitty, these little Torx levers, as well as the Allens that you need. They give you a couple of those. They're not much leverage on them, but it might, I think for a day trip it's fine. So I replaced all that once I figured out every time I touched a nut or bolt and I gave me an opportunity to check it out, I would then change that, and then I ended up getting some other stuff. So what I've done is I've got a bunch of tools here that I think would help me out. And let's start with, I got rid of the existing what were you talking about? Anyway, we've got this little Motion Pro, this is a 32 that you can see for the rear axle. We got a 27, which is what you need for the front axle, as well as the countershaft sprocket, but we're not going to use it for that purpose. And then we got this 13 millimeter one, where this side is a 12, and that opening there is a 13. You know, I think there's a 10 out there too. So, but I don't really trust these alloy wrenches, tire irons. So there's another one I got. I guess it's a DRC. And it's a steel one, tire iron. So I'm going to use this to be the main breaker of my inner tube, and it happens to be a 27. So if I wanted to, I could chuck this guy out altogether. However, the 27 is kind of nice because what I have over here is this little adapter from Motion Pro, and with the 1/4 inch or the 3/8 drive, and I have a 3/8 to 1/2 inch drive adapter, and then I have a 27 millimeter socket, 6-point socket that I got from AutoZone for like $8. And the reason this is handy is that when you put this on, then I can take this part, and this will become the official changing your countershaft sprocket tool. It's got a little detent in, so that'll hold that on. And so you need to get away from the engine here to be able to lean on it to tighten it. So we have two 27s, but one will be for the axle. This one will be for the countershaft sprocket. And since we're on sockets, I did buy this little kit, and it's called Bike Master, that has a little T-handle with 1/4 inch drive ends on it and 5 sockets. One's an 8, one's a 10, one's a 12, 13 should be. Yep, and a 14. But I don't have very much leverage on this. You can put a socket on each end of it. Let me show you. If you're trying to get better leverage, keep those from rolling off. You can always put the sockets you're not using on the end, and that'll give you just a bigger leverage when you're doing this. But what I preferred to do is I've got this old T-handle that has a little lever on it, and I can use it like that or put it like that, and I can take it off so it doesn't take up much space in your kit. And then a extension and another extension with a little, you know, I don't think I'm going to use this. I'll chuck that out. One less thing. But the universal, that'll be the replacement for this. So let me put that back up there like that. We're going to keep him, and I'm going to eliminate the one. This guy, put in another kit. I'll keep this, and this is a little extension. So that's the sockets. Let me set that aside. All right, the other. Now let's talk about wrenches. Oh, I'm also going to take this ratchet. It's fairly lightweight. It's got a little bendy thing on there, and with the extension, it'll work fine too. Now on the wrenches, basically, I just went by Napa and whomever, and I bought individual wrenches. I got an 8, a 10, and a 13, and I believe that's all I really need. Although I could have got by with this 13, but I don't like these little counter board things in there, and plus I get a box and open end. Now for some reason you got to get to the back side of the 10, and you can't get a socket, so you really need 2 wrenches. I'm going to go ahead and take this small crescent wrench, and so that'll, if I have to get behind something or in the front of, so if I need 2 of any of these, I've got this little guy to hold on to a nut. All right. There's this one tool that's KTM I think we'll take along, and it's a bottle opener. And so that's pretty cool, huh? Because we're maybe drinking a bunch of beer down in Baja, although I'm really kind of more of a bourbon dude. All right, the other things, when it comes to socket, this is your spark plug wrench, and I think that's a 10 on this end here. And let's see, what tools do they want us to use this on? If we're doing okay, it looks like it takes a 13 on this end. Will fit in there. So is this one also that? It is. All right, so this guy could be married to your socket, your spark plug wrench. And speaking of spark plug, here's one of 2 spark plugs that go in the 690. And I'll be taking both of them. They're different, but you'll see this is that fits on there like that. All right. Never had to change the spark plugs. I probably will not ever have to change the spark plugs on this bike, at least while I'm riding it. So we got that. Now one other, and I'm kind of debating. When I changed the rear tire, I bent the lever with this guy here. And I have this really great crescent wrench, which is really strong, and you can break the rear wheel nut off really easy. But I do think that, so I'm kind of debating whether or not to throw it in, or am I going to trust this for loosening the rear axle. I think this will do fine if I have it torqued to the right spot. So I won't take that. Just one more thing that's extra weight. All right, and in the KTM toolkit, at least one of the bikes had this really nice pair of pliers that has a cutter for safety wire, and you know, combination pliers. We'll take that. And I saw somewhere somebody did a kit, they did forceps. I don't know why I would need it, but maybe it's to hold on to something or reach in and grab something that I, you know, dropped or nut inside the engine. One more thing I thought was kind of handy. This, I don't know if they even make this anymore, but it's a Craftsman part with a 1/4 inch extension, and it's like a screwdriver, and it's got It's got a 1/4 inch drive on either end, and so in this case I got a screwdriver there, and it got this part, so if I want to treat any of these guys as a screwdriver, I can do that. Kind of debating about that, whether or not to do this or the regular screwdriver that comes with it. I've really got most of these ends covered with the other things I'm doing. You know, let's do it. That's too bulky. Let's just go use the existing KTM screwdriver that they give us. All right, we'll go ahead and do that. So we've got 2 out of all the rest of the stuff that's still KTM. And then one other thing is a tire pressure gauge for checking the pressure on when Deacon and I are riding. Hey Deacon, where are you? Anyway, on these tires, with 2 of us up and fully loaded, it's supposed to be like 32 psi. So, oh, there you are. So, want to check it, and they say you want to lower the pressure down if you're in the sand. But since the 690 does not have any wheel locks, Ron and I are both concerned that we might spin the valve stem off. So I'm going to keep the tire pressure up pretty high, and additionally, because I got both Deacon and I and our luggage on there, we'll keep we won't be I won't be lowering the tire pressure very often. All right, other things. I replaced the Allen wrenches with this guy that I got at AutoZone, and it's got all the Allen wrenches you need, and this costs like 10 bucks. Let me get that off there. All right, and the standard set that comes with the KTM doesn't have all the Allen wrenches you need, because a lot of times you'll buy an aftermarket accessory and this won't fit. But what I did do is I went through and made sure that this fit in all the places that I would need it. One of those is, if you lift this part up, can I reach with this? Can I reach my steering dampener? Yes, I can. This guy here is like a 2.5 millimeter on my CJ Designs. So you won't find that in the kit. So if you want to go around and start tightening things, you'll be hard pressed to find one that, see, that fits in there. So that's this has 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you got everything you need on here to go around, tighten all your nuts and bolts. But just, double check to make sure that you can reach every place you want to go. The other thing, I got rid of the little Torx Allens that were in here, these little funky things, and I did the same thing over at AutoZone. I got one of their kits that basically, let me rip this thing off. So again, it's another 10 bucks. I don't know why I bother you guys with showing you the price tag on it. So in fact, it's got this little guy in there. Get out of there. That just makes it harder to turn. There you go. All right. So it's got the TA, T10, 15, 20, 25, 27, 30, and 40. I think we use the 30, the 27, the 25 and 20, and the 10. But anyway, if you got this one's fairly light. I think these aluminum bars on here, and so it doesn't take up much space. And as you know, most of the time on your hardware, you can either use, like in this case, a 10 millimeter, or you can use a Torx on the inside, and that might also be as a backup if you want to use your wrench on the, inside, like in the case of this part here, you want to put a wrench here, and you want to put you want to loosen the bolt from that side. So we went that route. The other more universal tool is it's like a Leatherman, but I don't think it's the same. It's something else. Yeah, it's an HDX. So I got this at Home Depot, so it's probably pretty cheap, but it's got the pliers again and the cutters, so I could theoretically get rid of this. So let's do it. Let's get rid of that. We got this part now. Now the nice thing about this, of course, is that you got a knife for cutting things. Now I don't know if this qualifies. In Mexico, you're not allowed to bring in guns or knives. But I figure if it's part of this multi-tool and it's so difficult to get the knife out, it's not like a switchblade or anything, then it'll be okay. But this guy actually has a bunch of little tools that, you know, screwdrivers and other attachments. And on this side, there's a little saw for cleaning fish or whatever, and a nicer, smaller screwdriver that you might want to tighten your glasses. A little bitty Phillips, and then very critical, we use these a lot in Vietnam, is a can opener. So I would say get something like this. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I've had this in my other bike toolkits for quite a long time. Alright, so we got rid of another tool by using this. What else do we have? Well, one thing is if we stop at night and have to do some work, I got this for free when I was out on a ride in Ouray, and Jeep was doing a television commercial, and they were giving these things out. So I just put new batteries in it, and it's got, you know, you put a little headlamp if you're working at night, and if you, it's also got a red lamp if you don't want to get night blindness. So we're going to include that in the toolkit. Another thing is to go with the tire irons. I got 2 packages of a patch kit that has the cement and patches. So I don't see any sandpaper or anything, the way to rough it up. Oh, I guess it's in the back here. All right, so I just got 2 of these things. One guy says you can't have enough inner tubes or patches for Baja. I hope not. Then again, I mentioned I'm carrying both spark plugs. One guy says you need to be good if you took yourself an extra fuel injector to keep from getting clogged from bad gas, and those things are like I don't know, $150. Some really expensive thing, but I've never gotten into it. But I think, not quite sure where the fuel injector is in here. It sounds like a pretty major operation, but if you're spark plugs, one spark plug's in there. So I don't know, I'll have to look into that. That may be a future ride if I don't have help and I'm by myself and we're off going the Alcan Highway or some really bizarre thing. All right, electrical tape, always handy. And this guy here is this quick steel. Sets in 5 minutes. What you do is, it's in a little tube, and I'll show you. And all you do is you here, let's just take it out. I've used these before when I was flat tracking, and if all of a sudden we developed a leak in our fiberglass gas tank, you know, or in your engine because you hit something, and you want to prevent the oil from coming out, or your radiator. The radiator's aluminum. You got aluminum, whatever, and you got fluids coming out that you don't want to come out. So how am I going to open this up? Come on. Is there anything? It's a pretty tight seal. There we go. All right, so how this works, you'll see very carefully there's a gray outer ring coating, and in the middle is some black. All right, so this is a two-part epoxy. So what you do is you just take your knife and you cut a chunk off right here. I used to just break it with my hands. Okay, I don't know. I just how it got. I had to replace the battery in the GoPro, so I don't know where I cut off. So let's try it again. All right, so you can get these. The reason I like this particular brand of this is because it can be used on PVC, CP, PVC, plastic, fiberglass, glass, ceramic, metal, wood, or more. So metal includes aluminum and steel, and it really does harden like steel. And so once you put it on there, this puppy ain't coming off. So but it'll get you home, and you know, you might have to grind something away or something, because but it really works good. So we're going to add that to there. Now I'm taking 2 extra sprockets. This is the stock 15-tooth sprocket that comes with the bike. This is a 14-tooth sprocket, which I normally leave on because if I'm trail riding, I want to be able to crawl over rocks and that sort of thing. And what's currently on the bike right now is a 16-tooth that looks like this, but 16. And that's for more of the highway type stuff. Ron likes to use that. For down Baja, we got some pretty long roads, and I want to increase my mileage. So I'm going to bring these along in case I want to. I'll just nest those like that, and in case, just keep them in my kit as a regular thing, just in case I want to do some trail riding. And what's nice about it is that there's enough adjustment on the KTM. Right now this is 16, so it's moved really far forward, and on the 15 it's rack about here, and on the 14 this little center is back about here. So there's enough adjustment because we don't have a master link on the chain, so you don't have to worry about adding links or anything. What else is on here that we're not covering? This is a tow rope that my neighbor who lives over there and has a KTM 350 XCF, and so he loaned me this to carry so I can help somebody else if I needed. And if there's only 2 of you, one of you should have the tow rope. We're going to have a chase vehicle, so a lot of these worries kind of go away. And then of course I'm taking my owner's manual, and just in case the mechanic or whoever is riding with us, you know, wants a reference, we can read it. So now everything. Oh, one other thing is here's some chain lube, so which is good for lubricating O-ring chains. So this is the smallest one I could find for lubricating my chain, and I'll keep that. And I'm debating about whether or not to carry a quart of oil, but that would be pretty easy to do, actually, or maybe even a smaller subset of it. Now, so I'm not again, we're not using anything over here. I'm gonna do 2 things. I've got this Home Depot bag. And by the way, I don't know if I really want to take this at all. I think that's just too much trouble, because everything doesn't fit in the standard KTM bag. I mean, I could get a lot of stuff in there, maybe all these things. I don't know, let me think about it. Okay, so I got this Home Depot bag. Now, one thought was I'm just going to dump everything inside this bag. I'm going to roll it up nice, you know, tight. You know, then all my tools are in there. And then once I open it, the other good thought might be that I could lay this out on the ground, right, and then I can put all my tools on there as I need them. So I can reach in the bag, take which tools I want, set them on the top here, and they're not going to be in the sand or the dirt. And that's kind of the reason for that. Now, it might be beneficial for me to maybe sew some little lines in here, but I don't think so. You could always cut this out. But one thought, and I hope it's not sacrilege, is I ordered a KTM pit flag. Yeah, they're 3 feet by 5 feet, and they're only like 14 bucks. So I'm going to bring, that'll come in on Tuesday next week, and I'm going to use that as a mat underneath the bike for where I'm going to be putting the tools. So at that particular point, I would still take all the tools, keep them in here. I'd take out my flag, and then I would lay down the flag and then put the tools as I need them on there as I'm working. Now now how are we going to carry all this stuff? None of this stuff fits in the KTM tool bags. So what I did, I bought this KTM universal rear bag off-road. So haven't figured out where I'm going to mount it. I do know that this is $69, but you can get it for $59 from Moto Cafe. But this does, well, this could fit on top of here when we're riding along. So once I get all loaded up and I see what I got, then maybe I'll see about mounting it there. Or I can always put it inside of one of these side bags. I haven't quite packed up everything else yet, though. That's another video, and we'll see how much space we got. So let's just do this. Let me take my manual, put it back in its the bag it comes with. It's fairly tight. All right, and so I'm just gonna throw this stuff in here for now, and then we'll see what it takes to wrap it all up. I figured I'd do this on the truck rather than the Corvette because everybody yells at me on the Corvette. Now, one thing I could do is take certain things and put a rubber band around it, which I might end up doing, like putting all the wrenches in a rubber band, other stuff, so at least if I'm not needing them, they're not just helter-skelter. I could do things like put tie wraps in here. Oh, I forgot about that. Tie wraps. We need a bazillion tie wraps. So one thing I forgot to mention is tie wraps. You need a bunch of these, and a track box, which has got all the hardware that's used on the KTM stuff, the small one. So that'll go in here, and I'll put that in there too. But now this isn't enough tie wrap, so so let's pretend we have more of these, okay? And then my but, you know, I'm going to use one of these tie wraps to tie the tape together. That'll keep them out of the way. Let's see. I think the sprockets I'll tie together. Keep them from rattling around. I'll get some rubber bands for some of the other tools. And then this goes in there, although I may have a better place for it. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to put that in there. So let's just see how this fits. If I take all these guys like this, wrap it up like that, or, you know, fold it in. So I'm going to keep that separate. Fold that on the inside, fold that on the outside. See if I can't roll this up. Alright. I'm going to stick it in this here bag. And the reason I don't just dump the tools in this bag, which I could, is just that maybe it's going to be as easy to find. We'll find out. So put all that in there like that. Then I'll put the manual where it's nice and flat. And then it's a matter of rolling this thing up like this. Put that there and put that there. Alright, so that all fits in there fairly tight. And again, it's more weight on your tail end, but we'll have to see how that goes. So I can do one of two things. This comes with straps to make it smaller, and the little side straps. I've added straps here that's actually going to, what's coming on here when we're going from San Diego down to Ensenada, I'll be carrying a duffel bag, which is going to be on the back. And the and in that duffel bag is the is all my clothes that I'm going to take to the hotel room. There's some dust on there. And so I've got these straps on the back of the rack, and you just push these through little openings and do a little crisscross. So, but I think what's going to be better is to put these on this side. So, and I'm doing it on the, not the road side, right? I think it's better to keep the weight off the rack, the more I'm thinking about it. So we're kind of designing it as we go. As you probably learned from all my videos, I never have a straight script or plan. Alright, so this comes with a little yellow bag that I might want to take in the motel. But because this is already waterproof, I'm not going to put anything in that. I'm just going to put this in like this. Alright, there's my tools. That's a pretty good fit. And then whatever else we find we'll put in here, and then we'll roll it back up again. Alright, so that's what we're going to assign the toolkit to the Wolfman saddlebags on the right hand side. Cool. Alright, so one other thing. I want to carry an inner tube, which I could probably put in there, but I have this perfectly good spot right here. I'm just debating if it's going to cover up. So let's check this out. Here's that tow kit we talked about, and here's a fender bag. Fender bags go like right here, and they clip on the side, and they're good for street or mild stuff. If you're going to, I used to, on my 500, I had a fender bag. Actually, it's this one here, and I would put all my toolkit in there. Now, but they really say these are really only for, because the fenders aren't that strong, at least on the 690. On the, let me show you. On the 500 and 350, the other dirt bikes, they've got this really good reinforcement part, and it makes it a lot stronger. So what I'm going to do is, but anyway, we're going to take this guy here, and I'm going to put in an inner tube, and I'm going to stuff the tow rope in there in the front of it. Alright, so it's all pretty soft, not too much weight. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to put this in the rolly bag. That might be something I just leave with the chase truck when we're driving along. Alright, close that up. There you go. Alright, so that's got the inner tube, tow rope over here. So this is supposed to be like that, but I don't like that idea because it's blocking the headlamp. So that's a bad idea. But what we could do is still take this along and put it in the toolkit side. Okay, so one more thing. Alright, so it kind of fits right on the top there, so it leaves a little bit more room. Alright. I think that's better. Good. Alright, so as far as the tools, extra stuff we're carrying, well, here's the lube. Let's do that. Let's put the lube in there. The lube we'll just put down on the side there, right by the inner tubes. Seems to be a good spot for it.